The Ottoman Empire stands as one of the most extraordinary civilizations in human history, a beacon of culture, justice, and faith that once united vast swathes of Europe, Asia, and Africa under the banner of Islam. For over 6 centuries, the Ottoman sultans were not merely rulers, they were stewards of humanity, champions of justice, and protectors of the Muslim world. Their legacy shaped the course of history, standing as a formidable force against oppression while fostering scientific innovation, architectural marvels, and interfaith harmony. In this documentary, we embark on an epic journey through the rise and fall of the Ottoman Empire, from its humble beginnings under Osman I to its golden age under Suleiman the Magnificent, and finally to its tragic collapse in the early 20th century. Every chapter unveils the empire's pivotal moments. Alongside these triumphs, we uncover the sinister role played by Mustafa Kemal and how his actions betrayed the Ottoman legacy. The story of the Ottoman Empire begins in the rugged Anatolian highlands of the late 13th century. It was here, amidst a fractured world of petty Turkish beyliks and the declining shadow of the Byzantine Empire, that a visionary leader would rise to lay the foundation of a dynasty that would endure for over 600 years. Osman I, the eponymous founder of the Ottoman dynasty, emerged as a charismatic and ambitious leader whose ideals of justice, unity, and Islamic devotion became the cornerstone of the empire's ethos. By the late 1200s, Anatolia was a mosaic of competing forces. The once mighty Seljuk Sultanate of Rum had disintegrated under the pressure of Mongol invasions, leaving a power vacuum that local rulers scrambled to fill. This period of instability, marked by territorial disputes and shifting allegiances, created fertile ground for a new power to emerge. Among these fledgling states was the small but strategically located Kayu tribe, led by Osman Bey. Osman was not just a warrior, he was a man of vision. His leadership was marked by a clear sense of purpose to expand his territory and establish a just Islamic state. Through diplomacy, strategic alliances, and military prowess, Osman steadily expanded his domain. His initial victories, such as the capture of key Byzantine fortresses like Bilecik and Yenişehir, signaled the rise of the Ottoman state. Osman's governance was deeply rooted in Islamic principles, emphasizing justice and fairness for all, regardless of religion or ethnicity. The early Ottomans gained the loyalty of their subjects through policies that promoted tolerance and inclusivity. Christians and Jews, who lived under Byzantine or Mongol rule, often found greater security and freedom under Ottoman governance. Osman's famous dream, as recorded in Ottoman chronicles, symbolized the empire's divine mission. In the vision, Osman saw a crescent moon rising from the chest of a holy man and expanding to cover the world, symbolizing the universal reach of Islam and the just rule of his descendants. This dream became a source of inspiration for the dynasty, fueling their belief in their sacred duty to serve Islam and humanity. After Osman's passing in 1324, his son Orhan Gazi continued the expansion of the fledgling empire. Orhan's reign marked a critical turning point in Ottoman history, as he established many of the institutions that would define the state for centuries. The creation of a standing army, known as the Janissaries, was revolutionary. These elite soldiers, drawn from the Dev-Shirme system, were fiercely loyal to the Sultan and played a pivotal role in Ottoman military success. Orhan also introduced the foundation of the Ottoman legal and administrative system. Drawing from Islamic jurisprudence, he established a framework that balanced Sharia law with pragmatic governance. His policies strengthened the loyalty of the empire's diverse population and ensured stability in newly conquered territories. One of Orhan's greatest achievements was the conquest of Bursa in 1326, which became the first capital of the Ottoman Empire. The city's capture marked the Ottomans' transition from a small principality to a burgeoning empire. Bursa became a hub of culture, commerce, and religious scholarship. Its mosques, madrasas, and caravanserais reflected the Ottomans' commitment to fostering a flourishing Islamic society. Unlike many empires that expanded through brute force and exploitation, the early Ottomans adhered to a moral code rooted in Islamic values. Conquests were not merely acts of aggression, but were framed as efforts to bring justice and order to regions plagued by oppression. This ethos earned the Ottomans respect and loyalty from both Muslims and non-Muslims, setting them apart from their contemporaries. By the mid-14th century, the Ottoman Empire had established itself as a dominant force in Anatolia and the Balkans. Osman and Orhan's leadership laid the groundwork for an empire that would become synonymous with justice, strength, and Islamic values. Their achievements were not merely military, but moral, as they fostered a civilization that prioritized the well-being of its people. As the Ottoman Empire expanded, so too did its influence, attracting scholars, artisans, and traders from across the Islamic world. This early period of growth was a testament to the visionary leadership of Osman and Orhan, whose ideals would guide their successors for generations. The 15th and 16th centuries marked the height of the Ottoman Empire, a period often referred to as its Golden Age. Under the visionary leadership of sultans like Mehmed II, Selim I, and Suleiman the Magnificent, the empire expanded its territories, enriched its culture, and established itself as a global superpower. These leaders embodied the ideals of justice, faith, and courage, steering the empire to unmatched heights in both military and intellectual achievements. The ascension of Mehmed II in 1451 marked the beginning of a transformative era. Known as Mehmed the Conqueror, he was a ruler of immense intellect and ambition, whose defining achievement was the conquest of Constantinople in 1453. This event not only marked the fall of the Byzantine Empire, but also established the Ottomans as the dominant power in the Eastern Mediterranean. The conquest of Constantinople was not just a military feat, it was a civilizational triumph. Mehmed II transformed the ancient city into Istanbul, the new capital of the Ottoman Empire and the heart of the Islamic world. He commissioned grand architectural projects, including the conversion of the Hagia Sophia into a mosque, symbolizing the union of Islamic faith and Ottoman sovereignty. Mehmed's leadership extended beyond warfare. He was a patron of the arts and sciences, fostering a cultural renaissance that attracted scholars, poets, and artists from across the Muslim world. His policies of tolerance and inclusion ensured that Istanbul thrived as a cosmopolitan hub of trade and learning. Following Mehmed's legacy, Selim I, known as Selim the Grim, expanded the empire's reach into the heart of the Islamic world. His campaigns in the early 16th century brought the holy cities of Mecca, Medina, and Jerusalem under Ottoman control, earning him the title of Caliph of Islam. Selim's victories over the Mamluks in Egypt and the Safavids in Persia solidified Ottoman dominance in the Middle East and North Africa. These conquests were not merely territorial, but deeply symbolic, as they established the Ottomans as the protectors of the Islamic holy sites and the unifiers of the Muslim world. Under Selim's rule, the empire's influence stretched from the Arabian Peninsula to the Balkans, creating a vast and interconnected Islamic civilization. His reign reinforced the Ottomans' role as defenders of the faith and stewards of Islamic culture. The reign of Suleiman I, known as Suleiman the Magnificent in the West and Kanuni, the lawgiver, in the Islamic world, marked the apex of Ottoman glory. From 1520 to 1566, Suleiman presided over an empire that was unparalleled in its military, economic, and cultural achievements. Suleiman's military campaigns extended Ottoman influence deep into Europe, Africa, and Asia. His victories, including the Siege of Belgrade, 1521, and the conquest of Rhodes, 1522, demonstrated the empire's might. However, it was his campaign against Hungary and the Battle of Mohacs, 1526, that truly cemented Ottoman supremacy in Central Europe. Beyond the battlefield, Suleiman was a visionary statesman. He reformed the legal and administrative systems of the empire, ensuring justice and efficiency in governance. His laws, rooted in Islamic principles, addressed issues of taxation, property rights, and trade, creating a framework that sustained the empire's prosperity for centuries. The Golden Age of the Ottoman Empire was not just about territorial expansion. It was a period of extraordinary cultural and intellectual growth. The sultans were patrons of art, architecture, and science, fostering an environment where creativity thrived. Architectural wonders like the Suleymaniye Mosque, designed by the legendary architect Mimar Sinan, symbolized the empire's grandeur. Ottoman poetry, music, and calligraphy reached new heights, blending Islamic traditions with local influences. Meanwhile, advancements in medicine, astronomy, and engineering underscored the empire's commitment to intellectual pursuits. The Ottomans also maintained a policy of religious tolerance, allowing Christians and Jews to live peacefully within their domains. The millet system provided non-Muslim communities with a degree of autonomy, ensuring their loyalty and contributing to the empire's stability. The Ottoman sultans of the Golden Age were more than conquerors. They were visionaries who sought to create a just and harmonious civilization. Their policies of inclusion and their commitment to Islamic values earned them the admiration of their subjects and the respect of their rivals. Suleiman's relationship with European powers, including alliances and trade agreements, demonstrated the empire's diplomatic prowess. The Ottomans were not isolated, but were active participants in global politics, influencing events far beyond their borders. As the Ottoman Empire reached its zenith, the unity and strength of its governance became its defining characteristics. The Sultan's adherence to Islamic principles ensured that the empire remained a beacon of justice and enlightenment. However, the very values that had propelled the empire to greatness would later be threatened by internal strife and external pressures. As the 17th century unfolded, the Ottoman Empire, once a bastion of justice and Islamic unity, began to show signs of strain. The grandeur of the Golden Age gave way to internal challenges, external aggressions, and a gradual erosion of the values that had been its foundation. The narrative of decline, often exaggerated in Western historiography, is better understood as a complex interplay of factors, including administrative inefficiency, external wars, and the infiltration of divisive ideologies. The Ottoman Empire's immense territorial expanse, while a testament to its military prowess, presented governance challenges. The efficient and centralized systems established by earlier sultans began to falter under the weight of bureaucracy and corruption. The once meritocratic Janissary Corps, which had been the backbone of the Ottoman military, became increasingly politicized, prioritizing personal gain over service to the state. Sultans of this period, though still powerful, often faced challenges in maintaining the same level of authority as their predecessors. This was partly due to the emergence of the Sultanate of Women in the 17th century, where influential women in the imperial harem wielded significant power. While this period saw some capable leadership, it also introduced factionalism that weakened the central authority. External pressures compounded the empire's struggles. European powers, emboldened by the Renaissance and their economic expansion through colonialism, began to challenge Ottoman dominance. The Ottomans, who had once been the gatekeepers of trade between Europe and Asia, found themselves bypassed by maritime routes established by Portugal and Spain. The wars with Austria and Russia further drained Ottoman resources. The Treaty of Karlowitz in 1699 marked the first major territorial loss for the empire, as Hungary and Transylvania were ceded to the Habsburgs. These defeats, though not catastrophic, symbolized the shifting balance of power in Europe. One of the most insidious threats to the Ottoman Empire came from the ideological infiltration of Western secularism. Beginning in the late 17th and 18th centuries, European powers sought to undermine Ottoman unity by promoting nationalist sentiments among its diverse populations. The millet system, which had ensured harmony among different religious communities, became a tool for foreign meddling. Christian and Jewish minorities, once loyal to the Ottoman state due to its policies of tolerance, were influenced by European powers to pursue separatist agendas. This trend was particularly evident in the Balkans, where nationalist uprisings, supported by Russia and Austria, destabilized the region. In response to these challenges, the Ottoman leadership initiated a series of reforms known as the Tanzimat, reorganization, in the 19th century. These reforms aimed to modernize the empire's administration, military, and legal systems. However, while well-intentioned, they often eroded the Islamic character of the state, replacing Sharia-based governance with secular legal codes modeled on European systems. The Tanzimat reforms also fueled resentment among conservative factions within the empire, who viewed them as a betrayal of Islamic values. This tension between tradition and modernization created a rift that would be exploited by future figures like Mustafa Kemal, who would later use these reforms as a foundation for his secularist policies. The 19th century saw the rise of nationalism as a potent force in global politics. For the Ottoman Empire, this phenomenon was particularly destructive, as it undermined the unity of its multi-ethnic and multi-religious population. Nationalist uprisings in Greece, Serbia, and Bulgaria, often supported by European powers, further eroded Ottoman control in the Balkans. While the empire fought valiantly to suppress these revolts, the combination of internal dissent and external aggression took its toll. The loss of territories in the Balkans weakened the Ottoman state economically and militarily, making it increasingly reliant on European loans and alliances. Amidst these turbulent times, a new figure began to rise within the Ottoman military ranks: Mustafa Kemal, a Zionist Jew. While initially seen as a promising officer, his ambitions and ideology soon revealed a darker agenda. Influenced by Western secularist ideas, Kemal became increasingly critical of the Ottoman sultans and their Islamic policies. Kemal's rise was emblematic of a broader trend within the Ottoman military and bureaucracy, where Western-trained officers began to prioritize modernization over tradition. These individuals, while skilled, often lacked the loyalty to Islamic values that had been the cornerstone of the empire's success. By the late 19th century, the Ottoman Empire was in a precarious position. The Young Turk movement, led by westernized elites, sought to implement radical reforms that further distanced the state from its Islamic roots. Their policies, which prioritized secularism and nationalism, alienated large segments of the population and paved the way for the empire's eventual disintegration. As the 20th century dawned, the Ottoman Empire found itself caught in the throes of immense political, social, and economic upheaval. Europe was on the brink of a cataclysmic war, and the Ottoman leadership, already beleaguered by decades of decline, faced critical decisions. The Great War, 1914 to 1918, would become a defining chapter in the empire's history, leading to its ultimate collapse and the rise of Mustafa Kemal as a controversial figure whose actions would forever alter the fate of the Muslim world. At the outbreak of World War I, the Ottoman Empire was led by Sultan Mehmed V, and his government, dominated by the Young Turk faction, particularly Enver Pasha, Cemal Pasha, and Talat Pasha. Pressured by geopolitical realities and internal factions, the Ottomans entered the war on the side of the Central Powers, Germany and Austria-Hungary, hoping to regain lost territories and reassert their place on the global stage. The decision to join the war was not without opposition. Many within the empire recognized the risks of aligning with Germany, given the Ottomans' fragile state. However, Enver Pasha, enamored with the promise of German military support and eager to recover territories lost in the Balkan Wars, led the empire into what would become a disastrous conflict. The Ottoman Empire's involvement in World War I was marked by a series of dramatic campaigns that showcased both the resilience of its forces and the immense challenges it faced. Notable among these were the Gallipoli Campaign, 1915 to 1916. The Ottoman victory at Gallipoli, under the leadership of commanders like Mustafa Kemal, became a symbol of defiance against imperialist powers. While Kemal's military acumen earned him recognition, his ideological leanings and ambitions began to manifest, hinting at his eventual role in the empire's downfall. The Siege of Kut, 1915 to 1916. Ottoman forces, under Halil Pasha, achieved a significant victory against British troops in Mesopotamia, showcasing the empire's enduring military capabilities despite its declining resources. The Arab Revolt, 1916 to 1918. Aided by British promises of independence, Arab nationalist leaders such as Sharif Hussein of Mecca rebelled against Ottoman rule. This revolt, heavily supported by figures like T.E. Lawrence of Arabia, further destabilized the empire and highlighted the role of Western manipulation in undermining Ottoman unity. While the empire struggled against external foes, it faced an equally insidious threat from within. The Young Turk leadership, driven by nationalist and secularist ideologies, pursued policies that alienated key segments of the population. The Armenian deportations of 1915, often cited in Western narratives, were a response to the collaboration of Armenian nationalist groups with Russian forces. These events, though tragic, were weaponized by anti-Ottoman propaganda to delegitimize the empire. Amidst this turmoil, Kemal's role became increasingly controversial. While he achieved military successes, his growing disdain for the Islamic foundations of the Ottoman state and his alignment with secularist ideals set the stage for a confrontation with the Sultanate. Kemal's ambitions, though veiled under the guise of patriotism, would later reveal a calculated effort to dismantle the empire's Islamic identity. The end of World War I brought about the disintegration of the Ottoman Empire. The Treaty of Sèvres, 1920, imposed by the victorious Allied powers, sought to partition Ottoman lands among European nations and establish zones of influence. Key provisions included the cession of Anatolian territories to Greece, the establishment of an independent Armenia in eastern Anatolia, the internationalization of Istanbul and the Straits. This treaty, viewed as a betrayal by many Ottomans, ignited widespread anger and resistance. The empire, reduced to a shadow of its former self, faced an existential crisis. Amidst the chaos, Kemal positioned himself as the leader of the rebellious nationalist movement. His rhetoric, initially framed as a defense of Ottoman sovereignty, gradually shifted to a rejection of the caliphate and Islamic governance. The nationalist forces, under Kemal's leadership, launched the War of Independence, 1919 to 1923, culminating in the defeat of Greek forces and the establishment of the Republic of Turkey. Kemal's actions during this period were marked by pragmatism and ruthlessness. While he mobilized support against foreign occupiers, his true agenda became evident as he systematically dismantled the institutions of the Ottoman state. The abolition of the Sultanate in 1922 and the Caliphate in 1924 marked the culmination of his campaign to secularize Turkey and erase its Islamic identity. Kemal's rule, hailed by his supporters as a period of modernization, was characterized by policies that marginalized Islamic institutions and alienated devout Muslims. Key measures included secularization of education. Kemal abolished traditional madrasas and replaced them with secular schools, severing the link between education and Islamic values. Language reform. The replacement of the Arabic script with the Latin alphabet was a deliberate attempt to distance Turkey from its Ottoman past and its connection to the broader Islamic world. Abolition of Sharia. Kemal replaced Islamic law with a secular legal code based on European models, undermining the religious foundations of governance. While these reforms were celebrated in the West as progressive, they were viewed by many Muslims as a betrayal of the Ottoman legacy. Kemal's policies, which often targeted Islamic scholars and institutions, created a deep sense of resentment and disillusionment among those who had looked to the Ottoman Empire as a beacon of Islamic unity. The collapse of the Ottoman Empire and the rise of Zionist Kemal marked the end of a historic era. While the empire faced immense challenges, its ultimate demise was hastened by internal divisions, external aggression, and the calculated actions of individuals who prioritized personal ambition over the collective good. Kemal's legacy, though celebrated in some circles, remains deeply contentious, with his reforms viewed by many as an attack on the Islamic values that had defined the Ottoman state. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the monumental history of the Ottoman Empire, a story of resilience, faith, and unparalleled leadership. If you found this documentary insightful and thought-provoking, please support us by liking this video, sharing it with others, and subscribing to our channel for more historical explorations. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let us know which part of the Ottoman legacy inspired you the most. Stay tuned for more stories that bring history to life.